Now, let's move on to the next topic. Let's start with flow control. Flow control actually refers to structures like if statements, as well as while loops and for loops for traversal. Let's start with if statements. Inside Abacus, we can use the Abacus PDE to access the environment. This opens our code editing interface. However, this interface can be prone to lagging. So when we are coding, we can either write directly on this page or write the code in a text editor first and then load it into Abacus later. Running it that way works just fine as well. Let's use this to write a sample. For example, regarding the usage of if conditional statements, let's write a short block of code. If I is less than 1, followed by a colon for this if condition, it must be followed by a colon. The following line then represents the action to be taken. If this condition is satisfied, therefore, it must be indented. Print I is less than 1. Then else followed by a colon. Print the output I is greater than 1. This is a very basic example of a flow control. If we now set I to be equal to 2 and then run the script, you can see it has finished running. To see the results, we need to look at this area here. You can see that it outputs I is greater than 1. There is one thing to keep in mind here. When we are using the GUI, the output will appear in the message area at the bottom. However, when we use the kernel, the output will be displayed right here in this section. This is an important distinction to note. You must remember that this colon is mandatory and cannot be omitted. These two execution modes will lead to different display interfaces. Now, let's take a quick look at the if statement. Essentially, when a certain condition is met, it executes a corresponding action. Otherwise, it executes a different action. Of course, this might also involve, for example, using an else if here. In the case where I is less than 3, right? I'll output that I is greater than 1 and less than 3.
Focus on various issues in finite element analysis. For more related professional knowledge, please follow my YouTube channel or click on the relevant links of each video to learn.